Lights out and away we go. And it's a good start there made by all. Looks like we have got a reasonable start as we head up towards the first chicane. Are we going to be able to get past Daniel Ricciardo? But we've ran wide and we're going to let a whole load of cars through because we have to take an inside line. Just keep moving on that. We're at that later, we're behind Daniel Ricciardo. But we turned too viciously with DRS. That was a really stupid mistake. The same couldn't be said for us because we're going to finish in 18th. Behind Felipe Nasser, but we're not going to be able to close enough. Well, what's up guys? It is Matt T Gaming HD here, back with the 6th episode of Checo's Charge to Glory. We are here at the Circuit de Monte Carlo, the Principality of Monaco, the race everyone wants to win, and we are certainly set for an interesting race here in Monaco. Without further ado, it's now time for the qualifying report. There was plenty of anticipation as qualifying around the Principality of Monte Carlo was about to get underway. Qualifying proved to be a disaster for Toro Rosso. Carlos Sainz qualified in an average 13th, whilst Max Verstappen crashed in Q1. Manor endured a reasonable session, with Will Stevens qualifying in 17th and Roberto Mori qualifying in 19th. Felipe Nasser endured a decent session to qualify in 11th, whilst Marcus Ericsson could only manage 18th. Qualifying proved to be disappointing for Force India, as Sergio Perez could only manage 15th, just for his teammate Nico Hulkenberg in 16th. Daniel Ricciardo had an average session to 8th, whilst Danny Kvyat could only manage 14th. McLaren endured their best qualifying of the season so far, as Jenson Button got into Q3 for 9th, whilst Alonso would start 12th. It was an average session for Williams, with Bottas in 7th and Massa 10th. Ferrari endured a slight disappointment. Sebastian Vettel qualified in 3rd, but Kimi Räikkönen could only manage 6th. Lotus endured a fantastic session, with Roman Grosjean qualifying in 4th ahead of his teammate Pastor Maldonado in 5th. It was no surprise to see Mercedes look out the front row, with Hamilton on pole, 4 tenths ahead of Rosberg.
It's race day here in Monaco, and a circuit that requires real driver skill as well as concentration. Last night, the Monte Carlo streets were full of revelers. Today, they're cleared and ready for racing. We knew this was a track that suited the Mercedes well, but no one would have expected that Lewis Hamilton would have created such a gap to his rivals in qualifying. If he stays out of trouble and the car continues to perform, well, victory should surely be a formality.
He's definitely going to be difficult to beat today, but anything can happen, so we'll have to keep a close eye on how this unfolds over the course of the race.
Hoping to build on their impressive performance last time out will be Ferrari. The last Grand Prix saw their best result of the season. It's a performance that they'll want to match, or even better this time out.
It was a good performance, but it was just one race. If they want to maximise their potential in the Constructors' Championship, they'll need to produce that kind of form more often between now and the season's end.
Well, here we are sitting on the grid here in Monaco. But we are actually going to make an interesting decision to start on the prime tyre. Where, because obviously track position is more important around here. So we decided to start on the prime because it's going to be very hard. Anyway, it's lights out and away we go. And everyone seems to get a good launch. We are getting a reasonable launch as we get down the inside of quite a few cars. Now on side by side with the McLaren and the Toro Rosso. I think the McLaren is ahead of us, of Fernando Alonso's side by side with Carlos Sainz. But we make contact with Alonso as we head up into Massenet, now into Casino Square. This might allow Carlos Sainz to get through on us. We try to defend. We're not quite able to. Now we're going to try to get one up the inside of Alonso. We back out too much contact. And this is going to allow Carlos Sainz to get down our inside, going into the first Portier corners. So now moving on to lap 4. We're just holding position at this point, where basically we are unable to catch up to Carlos Sainz, and the reason for that obviously because we are on prime tyres, which obviously means he'll have more pace on those option tyres, but later the pace will come to us. And we will hope to be able to undercut everyone. So now moving on to lap 10, we were planning on going to lap 12, but we hit the wall on the entrance to the second swimming pool, which means that we're going to have to bring our pit stop forward to this lap. Other people have got the options to the end though, so it's not going to be too bad for a race. So we're pitting this lap now, 2 laps earlier than planned, into the pits. And it's kind of destroyed Hulkenberg's race behind a little bit. But on pit exit, everybody else, because all the option tyre runners have pitted, we are going to be behind Carlos Sainz. So, but with the better tyres, we haven't managed to gain positions like I hoped that we would. I think points is looking pretty much out of the question here, but maybe we can make a few moves. Now, unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for us to catch up to Carlos Sainz. Here we are right behind Carlos Sainz. Heading up towards Mirabeau. Up to the hairpin. But it would take until Anthony Nogues on a next lap that we would eventually manage to get through on Carlos Sainz. And the next task is for us to catch up to Fernando Alonso. So here, as you can see, we are starting to catch up to Alonso. 3 laps to go. Heading into the chicane. Oh, we've hit the wall! And that's punctured our tyre! Where do we get going? Because Danny Kvyat is stuck at the chicane. We get a penalty. I don't know why. I don't even know what the game expected us to do. But we are going to retire from the race here in Monaco. Such a disappointing weekend all round for Checo. Of course, the car was put back to the pits somehow. Checo was sitting into it. So, we have a DNF, which is not what we want. Very unfortunate. I don't know why it's saying us as DSQ, because it was a DNF. So in the drivers stack and constructors standing, this is going to really cost us. In the drivers, as we're just looking down to 20th, in the drivers we are in 8th place. Quite a way behind Kimi Räikkönen now. We're still ahead of our teammate though, which is good. And in the constructors we are still 5th, 4 points ahead of Lotus. So now before I wrap up, I know it's going to go to the black screen, this might seem a bit unprofessional. Just going to say now what is going to happen over the next few weeks. Where basically what I've decided is this, obviously, as you all know, there was obviously a long break between this episode and the Spanish episode. I'm not going to do any Checo's Charge to Glory episodes until the CRC Race of Champions is finished on the, I believe, the 13th of December. The reason is because obviously I've got a season finale in CRC, and when I started doing these series, I didn't know my college schedule. But my college schedule makes it really hard to consistently produce videos. Of course, seriously, I'm hoping to clamp down on next year, because it's also so. As I said, there's not going to be any episode of the Canada episode will probably be released like the week after the 13th, and then after we have the Christmas holidays. Maybe, what my plan is to produce at least 8 Checo's Charge to Glory episodes over the Christmas holidays. That also depends on what I'm doing for Christmas, but if it's possible, that's going to be my target, because then I'll be able to basically be a lot more consistent with the series. In regards to the R-Factor Career Mode, the actual racing aspect of the R-Factor Career Mode will not start till probably the opening weeks of the new year. I might record some of it before, but I probably won't actually upload any of it till probably the early week, maybe even the first week of the new year. I am before then. I am gonna make a pre-season testing video on how I get on testing the new car before then, but the actual racing aspect of it will start in the new year. And that's why I also aim to get at least to around Singapore by that time. Because then I won't have to worry too much about Checo's Charles Glory, and then I can maybe do an episode of the R-Factor career mode each week. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in Canada. Goodbye.